Learn English with English Lab.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jack.
And I'm Bella.
Today, we're talking about something many language learners experience.
Yes, that strange feeling when learning a new language feels really hard,
Sometimes people study for months, even years.
but they still feel stuck.
They understand some words,
They know some grammar.
but speaking still feels difficult.
So the big question is, why?
Is language learning actually difficult?
Or is something else happening in our brain?
The truth is, your brain is already very good at learning language.
You learned your first language without studying grammar books,
You didn't memorize vocabulary lists.
and nobody gave you a language exam when you were 2 years old.
Your brain simply learned by listening
By observing.
and by repeating sounds.
So if the brain can learn language naturally,
Why does learning a second language feel harder?
one reason is that adults learn differently from children.
Adults analyze more.
We think about rules,
We translate in our head.
and sometimes we become afraid of making mistakes.
That fear can slow down learning.
Another reason is expectations,
People expect fast results.
but language learning is actually a gradual process.
Your brain needs time to build connections,
To recognize sounds
to understand patterns.
and to feel comfortable using the language.
So if learning feels slow,
It doesn't mean you're doing something wrong,
it simply means your brain is still learning.
and understanding how the brain works.
Can make language learning much easier.
Let's look at the next important idea.
How the brain begins to understand a new language. Let's talk about something interesting.
How does the brain actually start understanding a new language?
At the beginning, everything sounds confusing.
Yes, when you first hear a new language, it feels like noise.
You hear sounds, but you don't recognize words.
That's completely normal.
Your brain simply hasn't built the system yet.
But something important is happening in the background.
Your brain is listening for patterns,
Patterns in sounds
patterns in words.
and patterns in sentences.
The brain is like a pattern detecting machine.
The more you hear a language, the more patterns your brain notices.
At first, it's slow.
But gradually, things start to feel familiar.
You begin to recognize certain words,
Then short phrases.
then full sentences.
This is when the language starts making sense,
Not because you memorized everything.
but because your brain built connections.
That's why exposure is so important.
The more English your brain hears,
The easier it becomes to understand.
your brain slowly moves from confusion.
To familiarity.
And that's the moment learning starts to accelerate.
But there's another powerful tool that helps the brain understand faster.
Listening.
Let's talk about why listening is so important. Let's talk about one of the most important parts of language learning.
Listening.
Many learners focus mostly on speaking.
Yes, because speaking feels like the real goal.
People often say, I want to speak English fluently.
But something interesting happens in the brain before speaking becomes easy.
The brain needs to hear the language many times.
before it can produce the language.
Think about how children learn their first language.
For a long time, they only listen.
They listen to their parents.
They listen to conversations around them.
They hear the same words again and again.
And slowly, their brain starts building a sound system.
This sound system helps the brain recognize words quickly.
Without translating,
When you hear a word many times, your brain becomes familiar with it.
the pronunciation becomes clearer,
The rhythm of the language becomes natural.
and your brain begins to predict what people are going to say next.
Prediction is actually a very important part of language understanding.
When the brain predicts language, listening becomes easier.
That's why regular listening practice is so powerful.
Even short listening sessions can help.
Podcasts,
Stories,
videos,
conversations.
all of these help your brain become familiar with English.
The key is consistency,
Listening once a week is not enough.
but listening a little every day can change the way your brain processes language,
Over time, the sounds stop feeling foreign.
and English starts to feel more natural
That's when speaking also becomes easier.
because your brain already knows how the language sounds.
But there is another challenge many learners face.
Remembering vocabulary.
Why do we forget words so quickly?
Let's explore that next.
Now let's talk about something every language learner experiences.
Forgetting words.
You learn a new word today,
You understand it perfectly.
but a few days later,
You completely forget it.
many learners think this means they have a bad memory. If
But actually, this is how the brain normally works.
the brain is constantly deciding what information is important.
And what information is not important.
If the brain sees something only once,
It usually decides that the information is not necessary.
so the brain simply lets it disappear.
This is why learning a word only one time is rarely enough.
The brain needs repetition.
But not just mechanical repetition.
Meaningful repetition.
For example, seeing the same word in different situations,
In a conversation,
in a story,
in a podcast,
or in a video.
every time the brain sees that word again,
It strengthens the memory.
scientists call this process building neural connections.
The more connections you build, the easier it becomes to remember something.
This is also why learning vocabulary inside sentences works better,
Because your brain remembers context.
not just isolated words.
Another interesting thing about memory is emotion.
When something is emotional, the brain remembers it more easily,
For example, a funny scene in a movie.
or a surprising moment in a story.
Emotion helps the brain mark information as important.
That's why stories and movies are powerful tools for language learning.
Your brain is not only learning words,
It is also experiencing a situation.
and experiences are easier to remember than lists.
So, if you want to remember more vocabulary,
Try to learn words through stories, conversations, and real situations.
not just vocabulary lists,
But even if you understand a lot of English,
speaking can still feel difficult.
let's explore why that happens.
Now, let's talk about something many language learners struggle with.
Speaking.
Many people can understand English.
They can watch videos,
They can listen to podcasts,
they can read articles.
but when it's time to speak,
Everything suddenly feels difficult.
words disappear,
Sentences feel slow.
and sometimes the brain feels completely empty.
This happens because speaking is a different skill.
Listening and reading are input skills,
Your brain receives information.
but speaking is an output skill.
Your brain must produce language.
And producing language requires speed.
Your brain has to choose words quickly,
Then organize them into a sentence.
then pronounce them clearly.
All of this happens in just a few seconds.
This is why speaking can feel stressful.
Another reason is translation.
Many learners translate from their native language.
First, they think of the idea in their own language.
Then they try to convert it into English.
This process slows the brain down.
Fluent speakers usually don't translate,
They think directly in the language.
but this ability develops gradually.
With practice and exposure,
Speaking is similar to learning a physical skill
like playing a musical instrument.
or learning a sport,
At first, it feels slow and uncomfortable.
but with repetition, the brain becomes faster.
And the language starts flowing more naturally.
So if speaking feels difficult right now,
That's completely normal.
it simply means your brain is still training.
And there is another factor that can accelerate language learning.
Your environment.
Let's talk about how environment affects the brain. Let's talk about another powerful factor in language learning.
Environment.
Many people notice something interesting.
When someone moves to another country,
Their language skills often improve much faster.
sometimes in just a few months,
Why does that happen?
the answer is exposure.
In a new environment, the brain hears the language everywhere.
In the street,
In shops,
on the bus,
at work,
the language becomes part of daily life.
this constant exposure trains the brain.
Your brain receives hundreds of small language signals every day.
Short conversations,
Simple questions
common phrases,
and everyday expressions.
over time, the brain becomes familiar with these patterns,
This familiarity makes understanding easier.
and speaking becomes more natural.
But here is an important point.
You don't always need to move to another country,
You can also create a learning environment,
for example, by listening to English regularly,
watching videos in English,
following podcasts.
or having small conversations.
Even small daily exposure helps your brain adapt.
The key idea is simple.
The more your brain meets a language,
The more natural that language becomes.
eventually English stops feeling like a foreign system.
And it starts feeling familiar.
But understanding how the brain learns is only the first step.
The next step is training it.
Let's talk about some simple ways to train your brain every day. So now we understand something important.
Language learning is not only about studying,
It's about training your brain.
and the good news is that your brain can improve with practice.
Just like a muscle.
The more you use it, the stronger it becomes.
One of the simplest ways to train your brain is daily listening.
Even 10 or 15 minutes can help.
Podcasts are great for this
Stories and conversations are also very helpful.
because they show how language works in real life.
Another powerful method is shadowing.
Shadowing means listening and repeating at the same time,
You hear a sentence.
and you repeat it immediately.
This helps your brain connect listening and speaking.
It also improves pronunciation and rhythm.
Another useful habit is thinking in English
For example, describing what you see around you.
or explaining your plans for the day,
At first, it may feel slow.
but gradually your brain becomes faster.
Speaking practice is also important.
Even short conversations help your brain become more confident.
Remember that language learning takes time,
Your brain needs repetition
exposure,
and patience.
but when you train your brain consistently,
Progress becomes inevitable,
little by little, English becomes easier
more natural.
and more enjoyable.
So keep listening
Keep practicing.
and keep training your brain.
See you in the next episode.
And keep thinking in English.